Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. The only place to begin with this evening, Jakarta. President Yoon Suk Yeol on Wednesday held a dialogue with the 10-member ASEAN bloc and outlined ways to put into action his Korea-ASEAN Solidarity Initiative, which pursues freedom, peace, and prosperity in the region. The South Korean leader also called for greater cooperation at the ASEAN +3 meeting with Japan and China, particularly on curbing North Korea's nuclear program. We connect with our correspondent Oh Soo-young at the Korea Press Center in Jakarta. Sooyoung, first, walk us through what the president had to say about the recent speculation surrounding North Korea and Russia.
Sure, Jung-min. First, on North Korea's missile and nuclear threat, President Yoon said attempts at military cooperation with North Korea that harm the peace of the international community must be stopped immediately. This came at the ASEAN +3 meeting attended by President Yoon, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, and Chinese Premier Li Qiang. Now, Yoon said that the international community must unite and clearly show that it will not sit by idly and ignore North Korea's nuclear and missile development. He asked for the ASEAN leaders' interest in cooperation in banding together to block the sending of overseas workers and illegal cyber activities by the North, which are all used as a source of gathering funds for North Korea's nuclear and missile weapons programs. Now, he's expected to raise the issue again continuously, including at the East Asia Summit on Thursday, where Russia and China will also participate.
Right. This year, Beijing was represented by Premier Li Qiang instead of President Xi Jinping. But still, it seems President Yoon introduced measures to cooperate on important topics.
Right, you are, Jung-min. So as South Korea is the rotating chair of the +3 countries this year at the ASEAN Summit, President Yoon put forward ways to cooperate more closely with the regional bloc between the Northeast Asian countries. He suggested 3 points: increasing resilience by ramping up rice donations for food security, building an electric vehicle production base in ASEAN, and also increasing supply chain security. On top of that, investing in the future generation by nurturing talents in science. He further called for trilateral efforts between Seoul, Tokyo, and Beijing to ramp up cooperation with ASEAN.
이른 시일 내에 한일 중 정상회의를 비롯한 3국 간 협력 메커니즘을 재개하기 위해 일본, 중국 정부와 긴밀히 소통해 가고자 합니다. 최근 한일 관계 개선을 통해 한미일 3국 협력의 새로운 장이 열렸듯이 한국, 일본, 중국 3국 협력의 활성화는 아세안 +3 협력의 새로운 도약을 위한 발판이 될 것입니다.
And Sooyoung, President Yoon also elaborated on his Korea-ASEAN Solidarity Initiative into action with measures to pursue freedom, peace, and prosperity in the region. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So at his bilateral dialogue with the 10-member regional bloc this morning, President Yoon laid out various measures to set his Solidarity Initiative into motion, which he introduced last year in Cambodia. Now, first of all, on regional security, President Yoon proposed strengthening cooperation in the defense industry with greater dialogue between the two sides, also cybersecurity and tackling transnational crimes, along with strengthening maritime security cooperation. Then highlighting the dire need to respond to non-traditional security issues such as climate change and public health, the South Korean leader reaffirmed support for the $19 million Korean-ASEAN Methane Action Initiative to bolster the regional bloc's climate response, and also to build up its capacity to produce vaccines and develop treatments for infectious diseases. And of course, with ASEAN being Korea's second largest export market, the president presented ways to strengthen economic links. First, with a flagship program starting next year to promote collaboration between Korean and ASEAN youth on digital technologies and artificial intelligence. Yoon also further pledged contributions to the sustainable development of Mekong countries. And the president really took this ASEAN opportunity to highlight Busan's bid to hold the 2030 World Expo, a city that happened to host two Korea-ASEAN commemorative summits in 2014 and 2019. Yoon said that South Korea could share its own developmental experience with many maritime countries, including in the ASEAN, and he asked for the regional bloc support so that South Korea can indeed use Bhutan as a platform for the good of humanity. That's all from me for now. Back to you, Jung-min.
All right, that was our presidential office correspondent Oh Soo-young in Jakarta.